Hello, Leos. This is your June 2020 Mercury Retrograde reading. As mentioned in the introductory video, I really feel a lot of this cycle has to do with getting in touch with ourselves emotionally again. It's about a lot of reconciliation inside of ourselves so that we can move forward at the end of the cycle. When most people think about Mercury retrograde, it's all about all the problems. It's about the computer that breaks down or the car that suddenly doesn't start or the emails that got lost in the shuffle and then you got screamed at because something didn't get seen or read. But I think there's also an opportunity for all of us to focus on certain aspects of ourselves during these cycles and come out of it feeling a lot better, a lot more healed, and just basically being in a better position ultimately. For you guys, I'm going to use these Titiana's Fortune cards. I really like this deck. I like the colors that are involved. It's the first time that I've ever seen in Lenormand where the colors I find are a little bit relevant to what's going on in the situation. They sort of stand out to me. Now, one thing to note is I don't necessarily read these traditionally. I sort of make up my own definitions depending on what I'm feeling intuitively or what just basically like the gut hit that I get. And I would encourage anybody who works in this industry or dabbles in these types of things to consider doing the same. Your intuition plays a tremendous role in this, so just don't ever get bogged down by the idea of rules and limitations. It's honestly counterintuitive to focus on stuff like that. It's good to learn basics, but then I think it's also important for you to develop your own system and something that works really, really well for you. So we're going to revolve all of this around emotions for the month and how to reach that level of emotional reconciliation and awareness. So in that instance, we're definitely going to change some things around. Let's see what we have here. So we're starting off here with the overall theme that's going on during this particular cycle. We have the fish. Sometimes the fish is about money, and that could always be a challenge. But since we're going to be focused a little bit more on the emotional aspect of things, I think this fish is going to imply the connections that are in your life or the depth of the connections that are in your life, as well as it also is a message of sort of deep diving into yourself. And then right here in the middle, we have the book. The book is always about the unknown or secrets. Sometimes it's just about like the books. Like if this was a career type reading, this would definitely be money. But this is deep diving into these secrets that we're holding within ourselves or things that we have not yet faced that we need to face. And over here we have the whip. The whip is definitely a very, very challenging card. Sometimes it's about you beating yourself up over things or being a little bit too self-critical. I know I'm a big fat Leo over here myself, so I tend to be a perfectionist. I tend to be a little bit OCD. I definitely let things beat me down sometimes. But this whip is also about cycles. It means that we may have been going through this pattern of behavior for quite some time now, and it's time for us to get out of it. And we'll throw just a couple more down here. Up here at the top, when we see the house, sometimes that just means your actual home or where you live. But I see this more as your sort of overall self, because that's where we feel safe, that's where we feel comfortable. And it's going to be necessary for us to get us back into that certain level of sanctity where we can just kind of kick back, relax, be happy, and simply enjoy life for what it is. And then you have the book here and the key. This is a very, very strong message that this book needs to be opened back up. Maybe you've been holding things in for entirely too long now and you've locked them down. You've hidden them away in like the darkest chasms of your being, but it's time to unlock them. So ultimately, we're going to look inside your house. We're going to look for these different aspects that you're hiding away, and we're going to unlock those. It's not going to be an easy process, and I'm already a little bit nervous myself because I'm a Leo. But we're going to throw some more down here. I first learned about this particular spread from another reader. Her name is Layla, the Lenormand reader. I find her to be absolutely brilliant. It's one of those people you just know right away is super connected. A lot of us folks who work in this industry can pull out somebody who's in tune and connected I mean, out of a crowd of 1,000, we just feel it, we know. Now, her and I do read very, very differently, but I think that's okay because, again, everybody has to come up with their own ways of doing things and the ways that make the most sense to them. So, looking at this, Leos, this is going to be a sort of a challenging month. When we look at this box here, this is maybe not month, I can't remember exactly how long the Merc cycle is, but definitely a challenging cycle. But this box around here is basically the forces that are acting in, and it's also going to include some advice to help us get through this period a little bit better. The Lily card is a card of peace. It's achieving that long-term peace within ourselves. And then we have the road down here. In this particular deck, the road always implies you're going to be going down a different path. You're going to be taking a different avenue and somewhere basically you haven't necessarily gone before, but somewhere you've wanted to get to. And then we have the clouds. Now the clouds usually mean uncertainty or confusion, or, there's like this haze over your head that's sort of clouding your judgment on a lot of things. And when we look over here and we see the whip right up above the clouds, this could mean something that's been going on for quite some time. You may have felt in like this hazy state for a good period of time, which would make sense when you consider the quarantines and us constantly being stuck at home and us not being able to go be boisterous anywhere. That's going to create this constant cycle where things are just in a haze and we've sort of lost our oomph, basically. And then we have the snake over here. Now, sometimes in readings, the snake means another person is, kind of jumping in and messing with your relationship. But I see the snake here as something that's a little bit more deceitful in general. It can mean things that are slithering in and biting you when you don't necessarily expect it. Things maybe you almost have felt backstabbed sometimes, or maybe it has a lot to do with you being deceitful with yourself, which I think is relevant here because you're holding all of these secrets in. So when we put all four of these together, we have the lily, the roads, the clouds, and the snakes. The ultimate goal here is to find ourselves a peaceful new road. But in order to get to that road, we're going to have to spend some more time walking through the clouds. We're going to have to push through that haze, and there's a good chance we're going to feel bit along the way. So, honestly, out of all these that I've done, I think this one so far is probably the most challenging, but I do believe it's something that we can get through. It's just going to be a tough process, but it's all going to revolve around us unlocking these secrets within ourselves. That's what it's going to come down to. Everyone's going to need to take a deep dive into who they are. Reach in as basically as deep as you can in order to uncover things that you've been holding on to that simply don't really serve you anymore. Things that really aren't necessary. Because when you deep dive, yes, you're going to find some peace up here. You're going to find some good things, but you're also going to find a lot of challenging things as well. And I think that's going to be a bit of an issue. But let's look at some of the diagonals here as well. To be honest with you, I could probably spend 2 hours on this whole little diamond thing and come up with all different types of messages, but I'm just going to try to hit the things that seem the most relevant to me. Now here we have the clouds, the book, and the lily. Basically what that's saying to me is this haze you've put over yourself has allowed you to bury things a little bit more. And you may think it's creating a level of peace, but that peace isn't real. When you see the snake under the lily like that, it means there's a good chance you're walking around with a false sense of security, or you don't necessarily feel really authentic about who you are. Or, sometimes it could mean that you're just putting on a show that, oh, you know what, everything's great. But it means you're not taking the time to dig into yourself to understand these things, just basically a little bit more. Now, we also have the snake, the book, and the road. Now, digging into these secrets, because we're unlocking them down here with the key, will propel us down that new road, but it's going to be it's a slippery path, to be honest with you, because you're going to have to go in and really look for things that you've been burying. I think one thing that really helps us out is we need to find a way to express those things. I mean, even if you jump on into like a notepad file or like open up a Word doc or whatever it is that you use, start writing things out that you feel have held you back. What's stopping you from getting yourself down this new road in order to feel secure and at peace? Because this is ultimately the place that we want to get to. Figure out the things that you have not yet addressed inside of yourself, and you'll find those when you unlock this book. That's really what it's going to come down to. Now, again, this is not necessarily going to be an easy road, because when you go down this road, you might feel beat up a little bit. This whip's going to come back and snap you. And when that happens, it can create this clouded haze for you again. But when you feel that happening, it's important that you tell yourself that you're doing the right things. You're on the right path. You're moving in the right direction. You're going to tackle these demons that have been bugging you and making you just not feel completely like yourself for quite some time. So again, this is no easy path for us to go down, but ultimately it's necessary. Because I do believe that we can get to that place where, we travel down this new road, and then our whole being up here with the house, we feel safe, we feel at peace. And that's ultimately, again, where we want to get. I don't mean to be repetitive, but this just really, really stands out to me as something that's important. So this whole cycle, again, is just really going to be about figuring out if you're being real, or figuring out if you have been a little bit less than authentic lately. If it's the latter, then there's some work to do, but those things can be easily reconciled inside of you as well. Now, I want to look at some of the messages that are going around this diamond here too. If we look at the whip, the road, and the house, that's just letting us know, again, it's reinforcing the fact that this is not going to be an easy path. We're going to feel a little bit beat up during this period. We may want to stop. We may want to say, the heck with this. I don't want to do this anymore. But when that happens, these clouds just show back up. The snake bites us. It's not a good place for us to be. But ultimately we can make it to this house, this very, very peaceful being where, again, we feel like ourselves again. And this is also letting us know that this deep dive we take into ourselves here with the fish will lead to this serenity that we desire too. Now we look at this one, this reinforces something that we saw earlier too. The key, the snake, and the fish is basically saying, once we unlock this book, we're going to get bit a lot, but this deep dive into ourselves is absolutely critical for us to be able to move forward. It's really going to pave the way for the rest of the year so we can be back in a good spot, pursue the things that we want to pursue, walk with that incredible confidence again, and we can get out there and roar again, which is really, what most of us Leos like to do. Let me just look here a little bit more, because I think this one is just full of information. I think that might kind of cover it for now. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep repeating myself. I guess, the best advice that I have is crack open that book. Look for things that you've been hiding away. Ask yourself if your confidence is still there. Find the little snake things over here that have affected you, and look for a way to get rid of them. Let them go. Realize that they're not important. Keep reminding yourself that you're going to get yourself down this new road, no matter how beat up that you feel, and get yourself back into a really, really peaceful state. Because I strongly feel the last remaining bit of 2020, the last 5 months or so, is really where we have the opportunity to shine. The sun's going to shine down on us. It's going to allow us to pursue everything that we've wanted to pursue, but we have to walk into those new ventures with a really, really confident attitude, and we have to get out there and just simply do it. If there's something that's holding you back and you're losing any level of authenticity, chances are it's not going to go in your favor, and then we can see with the whip over here that whole cycle just sort of starts over again. So I do hope this was helpful for you. If you see anything else, or if you have any comments, please let me know down below. I'm still fairly new to this, but I'm enjoying doing this for this particular cycle. And I do wish all of you the best, and please enjoy the challenging path. But again, it's ultimately going to get you to a better spot.